Good afternoon and welcome to Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. And today we are talking about connecting analysts to self-directed traders, and helping me do that is Jitesh Parikh and Mitesh Bilimoria. They are both co-founders of StockHoot. Love the name. Tell us a little bit more about the company. Sounds really exciting.
Sure. So before we go into StockHoot, do you know that there are tens of thousands of analysts, and they have probably thousands of sites through which they are trying to deliver those trade ideas to approximately 40 million self-directed investors in US, right? So each of those analysts now, they have their own strategy in place, right? But from investors' perspective, if you look into, it's very hard for investors to go to like 1,000 sites and figure out who is the best analyst in the market, right? So that's where StockHoot comes into. StockHoot, what we want to do is we want to bring all those analysts at the same platform so that it becomes much more easier for investor now to pick which is the best analyst based on their investment strategy. And also from analyst perspective, we want to give them access to large pool of investors, prove their performance, and build their reputation in the market. So.
Sounds like another big data solution in the market, doesn't it?
Right.
All right, so Jitesh, why and how did it get started? What was the genesis behind it?
So I have a finance background, and I have been in trading for 15 years. And Mitesh is actually from technology, so that's how we came together as a fintech company. But I think the idea, and that's how StockHoot started. The idea was he always wanted to know how do you get your ideas? How are you trading? You do your self-directed investments, plus you have mutual funds. What are you doing? And I think and when I explained him that I'm going to these sites, going to Twitter feeds, trying to get the news, and trying to collaborate all these things together, and trying to make my trading decisions in the morning at 8:30 when the market opens. And he's like, this is inefficient. Like, you have so many ways to do this, solve this problem. So I think that's how this was conceptualized. The idea was, why don't we, similar to what he said, why don't we bring these analysts to one platform instead of you going to having different websites? You can pay them there, you can manage all your services, and investors can get everything at a click of a button.
Yeah, it really is overwhelming going through all that research.
That's exactly right.
In the morning. I'm from the sell side myself, and there's just so much out there.
And it's always it's like a BlackBerry, right? You're looking for that next tweet, and what's going on out there. And similar to what last night with Tesla, everybody was on Twitter trying to figure out what's going on. So I think eventually that's what we were trying to conceptualize, and that's how StockHoot started.
How is it different from the technology perspective from other tools that are available to the investing community?
Sure. So as Jitesh mentioned, right? So when we started looking into all the different websites, one thing we found that most of the sites are providing financial information. And as the financial market moves very quickly, right? So the information gets stale very quickly too. So if you take example of like Morningstar, right? They provide rating for stocks, mutual funds, but that's not really what the investor is looking for. Investor is looking for actionable trade ideas. What I can do right now, right? We have trade talk shows, right, where we talk about, hey, this stock, this will go up, but who is tracking the profit, how much profitable ideas those are, right? So that's where we bring StockHoot, because we want to bring transparency. We want to have, with process of natural selection, that the person who is doing really good job will automatically rise, and it will help the investors to pick it very easily. So.
Oh, it's interesting. So can anyone join StockHoot?
That's the beauty of it, Jill. Anybody can join StockHoot. If you're an investor, you're an analyst, or you can join us both. So if you are an investor and if you feel like I could become an analyst because I have great returns, you can become an analyst. And so, like you mentioned, the best comes up to the top. And that's what StockHoot provides.
It's really interesting how retail investors have access to this now. The playing field really has simply been leveled.
Right.
It's so different compared to when we got into the business 15, 20 years ago.
That's exactly
There's
right.
more tools at retail investors' disposal than we had on a professional trading desk.
Exactly. Right.
Yep.
And it's all this marriage of fin and tech and big data and so forth. What do you think the financial space will look like in the next 5, 10, 15 years? Are we just at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to big data and what we can do with it?
That's very true. Actually, not only the technology, if you think of it, finance is changing very rapidly and it's getting disrupted, similar to tech. But I think and the other aspect to it is that the millennials are now going to get about $30 trillion from the baby boomers. So I think the idea, and they're not going to be happy with a guy sitting in a suit, even though I'm sitting in a suit, but telling me to buy mutual funds or bonds and be safe. And they're going to want technological solutions and things at the fingertip. And I think that's something that we at StockHoot are trying to achieve and keeping up with the pace, right? And I think we are the first platform who are allowing cryptocurrencies to be traded by analysts, and 5 of them right now, but we are going down to 20, and then giving that edge to the investor.
Right, it's a super hot topic, cryptocurrency.
Exactly.
You cannot get enough of that. And Mitesh, do you think we're just in the beginning phases of what we can do with big data?
Agreed. So that's what we want to do from StockHoot perspective. Now, we have all these top analysts now, right? What we want to do is how we can unlock the future through artificial intelligence, right? Deep learning, algorithms, right? Also, we also want to look from StockHoot, not just from recommendations and trade idea perspective, but how we can take it from that level to self-directed investments all the way to AI-based of investments, right? At the end of the day, it's all about connecting dots for investor as quickly as possible. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us at MarketSite.
Thank you so much.
And traders, as always, thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.